Babe, our love is like real, true love. This is for you if you really want to find real, true love. I'm not just talking about like wildfire, whirlwind, chemical reaction, relationship love. I'm talking about like true love. The ones where you see it's like true love. You can see it, you can feel it. Not the people who try and make it work, but like genuine true love. I believe that any unhealthy relationship or on the rocks relationship can turn healthy and become beautiful and pure if both parties are willing to work on the relationship together. Of course. I wanted to share a bit about something I've just been through with Shane and myself in our relationship. And whilst we've just gone over 4 months together, which isn't that long, for me it seems like a really long time. Not just because we've done this before, not just because this is like previous lifetimes, but this is because in my past experiences, it hasn't been aligned. And because Shane and I are so aligned, it feels like we've been together for a long time. It feels like we've known each other for a long time, and we're still learning each other. So he brings me flowers. Every time I see him, he brings me fresh flowers. Every single time. Every single time he comes, he brings me flowers. Every time I see him, he brings me flowers. Now, anyone would be like, yeah, that's a new relationship. That's what happens. And I'm like, well, not every relationship I've experienced that. But something that I love is flowers. And I remember back when I just wanted flowers. I just wanted flowers for my birthday. I just wanted flowers for, I just love flowers. They tell me if you guys love flowers. And I'm just sharing this as I'm talking. And it's something that I've always loved, and he did it naturally. There are so many things about our relationship that is so natural. And that natural, like, of each other, like we just fit like a glove, we just fit like a zip that, is to a zip up. Like it just fits. That alignment of relationship only comes from alignment. That connection in relationship only comes from pure, unadulterated alignment of your values, of yourself, of self first, of all of those things. I've been in plenty of unaligned relationships before. I know what they feel like. They're horrible. It's chaos. It's a mismatch. There's always one chasing the other, or vice versa, or all the toxic cycles. Toxic, narcissistic relationships only happen because both people are not in alignment. And they're too fucking scared to separate. They're too fucking scared to speak the truth. Now, there are also a lot of relationships where people don't even speak their needs, or they don't speak things. Now, since my birthday, I've been going through a lot of deep changes. I've been going through a lot of pieces that I've been, struggling with. And it's because I'm receiving my beauty, of course. So I filled myself with love and beauty, and I filled my whole life for, with learning to love myself. And in the start and after the trauma I've been through with the dog attack and everything, this isolation and facing myself, it took me quite some time to really learn how to love myself. And in the beginning, it was really clear how much I didn't love myself. Now, any unhealthy environment, toxic relationship, anything you want to say, is a reflection, obviously, of you hate on yourself. You're going to find people that are going to hate you in whichever way, shape or form, whether it's emotional avoidance or not being there for you, or whatever the thing. You're going to attract that. But it's only a reflection of how much that is internalized in yourself from your own childhood. In Trust Your Intuition, We heal these deep wounds so that you can create the loving relationships that you really want. But it begins with self. You've always heard the saying, if you can't do it for yourself, you can't. The previous old Hannah wouldn't have been ready to receive shame either. Like, you know, I was speaking to a client about this as well. Like, I had to be ready to receive him energetically, physically, like to let the love in. Like the old Hannah a few years ago wouldn't have been able to receive this level of love. Now people might think, oh, flowers, like flowers are beautiful. Yeah, flowers. But constant flowers, for me, I'm like constant. And I wanted to come on and share because something happened recently where I started to push the flowers away. And it was like these subtle subconscious things. And this is where I really wanted to speak about, because for years I've waited for a conscious relationship. You know, over the years I've tried being in unconscious relationships, and I was like, yeah, I can do it. I can be the conscious one, and I can accept them. And like deep down, like my values is consciousness. I value consciousness. I value people owning their part. I value people owning their shit. I value people healing. I value conscious awareness of your own stuff and traumas and healing and all the things. And I needed a person that also valued those things. So this is where, if you want the purest, most aligned, incredible freaking relationship of your dreams, you're gonna have to get clear on what you value. You're gonna have to get clear on what's really important to you. You're gonna have to make that a priority, like 150 million%. If you don't, you're gonna settle and you're gonna be unhappy. Now, as I always say, you can definitely settle, but be happy in that, right? As I always say, there's like a human path and then there's a soul path. There's a human like trajectory of your, you know, path. And a lot of people get confused. I have a lot of clients come to me in psychic readings or what have you, and they're like, well, I don't know if I should do this path, or I don't know why I'm confused, because the relationship isn't quite aligned, right? Like I always say, I could have, you know, married my ex and lived happily ever after in the white picket fence, like, you know, society or generational imprinting. I could have done that, and I probably would be divorced by now. Shane and I work so well and we have a really conscious relationship is because we both didn't settle, and we both value consciousness, we both value healing, we both value communication. Now, these subtle little subconscious things that kept coming up for me recently it sort of blew my mind, because it was like subconscious subtle sabotage in pushing him away. But it was like constant flowers, constant flowers, constant flowers. I was like in my subconscious, like I was like happily to receive them. I was like, oh, this is beautiful, whatever. But subconsciously, this stuff was surfacing and I was getting really uncomfortable, but I didn't recognize it. It was so subtle. It was subconscious. So this subtle, like subconscious surfacing of constant flowers, of constant love, was like bringing up this stuff, and I'd sort of like push him away in different ways, right? It was kind of like, I was like, oh, maybe you don't need to bring me flowers all the time. Maybe you can just give me the money or something. Like, you know, like whatever. If you want to give me that, that's fine. Like, you know, like it was so weird, right? And I was like, and he was like, oh, you know, we had this big conversation and talked about finances and all sorts of things. And it was like brought us closer together. But at the same time, he just, you know, came recently, brought me more flowers. And he's like, Hannah, it's like, babe, this is how I show you that I love you. This means that I'm thinking of you. Like, it was the most sweetest romantic thing that you just said all this stuff, and I just dropped everything. I was just like, like, and he's like, imagine if I didn't process this. Imagine if I didn't have the conscious awareness on board, or whatever he said. I can't remember his exact words, but it was basically like, imagine, this is him saying to me, he's like, imagine if I didn't have that conscious awareness on board, because I would have taken that as rejection. You know, in normal relationships, is like, this would have been taken as rejection, because as a man, it's something that they, you know, it's like we think about, it's like, I'm thinking about you, this shows me that I'm thinking about you when I'm not with you, that I love you. It's he's like, because he's always said it from the start, he's like, I'm always going to bring you flowers. I'm always going to bring you flowers forever. Like, it's what I do. And then, and he's like, you know, saying, he's like, imagine if I didn't process this, like as a man, we would take that as rejection. And so when I've really like been in this space with him to actually receive this next level of love, I was like, this is like true love. Like what we have is true love, like from any previous relationship that I've had. And I have a feeling it's because our values are aligned. We're both conscious. We both own our part. We're both able to talk about anything, you know, that comes up. Like even this morning I was feeling a bit off, and, you know, it's just like all this stuff. He's like, are you all right? And I was like, like, you know, and ended up just telling him, and I was like, you know, I'm really, quote unquote, struggling to receive like your love. And we ended up talking about it in a normal conversation. And it wasn't even like a blow, it was just like a normal conversation. And like later on I was processing it. I was talking to a client last night and I was telling him, and I was like, I was thinking about it later. I was like, that would have been like a massive argument. Like, cause we both had abandonment wounds come up, right? Like Shane and I, and it played out in this weird ass way. And we both like talked about it afterwards. And it was like this, and I was reflecting on our conversation. I was like, that was just like a normal everyday conversation. I was like, there was no angst, there was no raised voices, there was no like, we just, because we both had conscious awareness of our wounds, abandonment wounds or whatever wounds, inner child, shadow, whatever it is, like because we both have done the work, healed our traumas, healed our childhood, plus still work on our stuff. Everybody knows there's always stuff at every level. Loyalty doesn't even come into the question. Yeah, I'm sorry, my Facebook keeps glitching. I'm live on Instagram. It's not been glitching. I don't know what's going on with my Facebook. I did a bit of a live stream yesterday that I wondered if I was going to get flagged. Maybe that's what's going on. So if you guys on Facebook want to jump over to Instagram, I'm still on Instagram live. Sorry about that. It's so weird. It's weird and it's not. So, okay, where was that up to? Yeah, loyalty doesn't even enter the equation, guys, in a relationship that is aligned. Mic drop. Loyalty doesn't even come into it when the relationship is aligned. There's been no question about loyalty with him or myself. Why? Because it's a feeling of alignment we feel with each other. It's an energetic alignment. If you're questioning loyalty in your relationship, I'm sorry, but the relationship is not correct. One or the other parties does not want to be together. It's not aligned. When you both want to be together, it's not even a question. Loyalty is like the last thing you're thinking of. You're actually building an empire. You don't really care about loyalty because it doesn't even enter in. It's like, yeah. Loyalty is a byproduct of relationships being completely aligned. So when I was sharing about this with the flowers, right, being able to open up and receive more love from, you know, Shane bringing me flowers, like, you know, it was just like, it was this beautiful conversation. And then this piece around like, you know, I was like, our love is like true love, like just the way he communicated to me. And then he just sent me this message on the way home. They are a symbol of my love to you, that I think of you and that I appreciate you. I feel maintaining a commitment to bringing you flowers keeps the love, romance, and energy of our beginningness alive, a symbol of respecting our relationship. It's bringing me to tears reading it again. And, you know, it's like, you know, because he's always said it from the start, I'm always going to bring you flowers. And like, at this point, I'm like, there's still flowers and I'm like trying to push them away. It was so interesting, but it came up with this sneaky sabotage. It wasn't like, don't bring me flowers. It was like this roundabout conversation. And like, and I was like, yeah, wow, I was actually like pushing that away. Like, you know, it was so full on. Then to understand where it was coming from, a deeper place around like, you know, just hitting up against old traumas. So as we've been growing in our relationship together, as I said, we've just gone sort of 4 months. And so, you know, like these first 4 months have been really heavy and really huge in both our lives and what we've been going through, and then together and coming through. It's like coming into a place of like understanding that there's always going to be stuff come up. And he said and like one of my fears when we first got together, I was just like, there's going to be so much like shadow stuff. And he's like of the timeline points. So, you know, as we go deeper into like a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, all the things that happened in previous relationships of when it was unaligned or broke up or whatever the story is, it's like, it's like we're just working through it. And it's bringing us closer every time because he just listens and he gets it. And, you know, and that's the thing about an aligned relationship is that there is no question. And you guys just get it. Yeah, he is my person. He so is my person. I'm so grateful, you know, and it's like I've waited a long time for this as well. So sorry, I was just reading comments there. So what else did I want to say about this? So when I was pushing away our love, and then it was like, you know, it was just so beautiful, and I really wanted to share, because like I said this morning when we had that conversation, and he's like, imagine if, he didn't say conscious awareness, he's like, imagine if I didn't process that or something, like in his own self, like a man would have taken that as rejection, and then he wouldn't bring flowers anymore, and then like I would have been like later on, like, you know, how come he doesn't bring me flowers anymore? And you know, and it just would have like entangled and snowballed. And I'm like, yeah, it's just so true. And it's, I guess I'm sharing this in how the subtle little unspoken words and unprocessed emotions that come up when they come up, like quote unquote his rejection of me saying I don't want flowers anymore, but actually I did. It was my subconscious of like, oh, I'm not used to this level of love, like can you just go away? Like I was trying to push him away. And if he didn't have that conscious awareness, if I didn't have that conscious awareness, it would have been in like, you know, that builds up over time. So that like unspoken words, if you may, and those wounds of like pushing away, I was pushing away love. He felt rejected. Oh, well, imagine like, if, let's say a scenario like, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. And then, so I was already pushing away love because I was uncomfortable. But then if he, like my giving up was my way of letting go of like, actually, I'm just going to, you know, I'm happy doing my life, made my own life beautiful, surrounded myself with flowers everywhere, you know, like buy myself flowers, like just made my life beautiful. And he's walked in and amplified that. And this is the thing in trust and intuition, where it's the psychic development, it's the healing of wounds, it's the getting clear on your own purpose by when we uncover, you know, release the generational trauma and societal training and programming, then our soul can speak, and our soul guides our purpose, and our soul guides our life. And then we are relationships because you're just settling and you didn't have the strength to stay strong in yourself about what's really important to you. So in trust and intuition, this is the core of what we do. So if you want to uncover your life purpose, let alone everything turn up on that purpose, and step out of the unhealthy relationships, toxic environments, to find yourself, heal yourself, uncover your unique life purpose that is not a convoluted mess of generational trauma and childhood. I can't remember where it was. Yeah, it was like the little things become the big things, and it's like they were always big things. And it's funny because that's one of the pieces too, in aware parenting, right? Or I think it was hand in hand parenting that quote actually got coined. It was like, you know, if you can't listen to your, this applies to relationship too, guys, like it's so interesting. If you can't listen to your child when they're little, if you can't listen to the little things when they're little, they won't come to you with the big things when they're big, because to them it was always big. It's like, wow, you know, or something like that. I can't remember exactly the thing. Readings, you can check the link in my bio. You've got psychic readings there. If you'd like to book, you can just comment psychic below. So once the Instagram live goes to replay, you can comment psychic, and I can send you the details, or you can find it in my bio as well.